What's up, guys? So, I want to let you in on a little secret. There is hardwood scraps and good wood to practice on all around us. And no, I'm not talking about firewood chunks. I'm talking nice, kiln-dried, cherry, walnut, maple, the nice hardwoods. And the only problem is you just need to know where to look. And before you go and say, hey, this guy, he probably has some source, he can just get wood whenever he wants. You know, I used to be that guy. I used to have a connection real close by. My dad worked as a woodworker with hardwoods, and he always had access to lumber. But I moved out of state for college, and now I live about 1,200 miles away. So I had to start fresh and find some new connections, and I want to share how I did, and maybe you can too. So let me tell you a little story. About 8 years ago, when I started my first job out of college, I met a buddy who was also a hobby woodworker, and he was also from out of the area. So neither of us had a connection in the area that had access to a lot of kiln-dried lumber. But he wanted to propose to his girlfriend, and to make it extra special, he wanted to make the ring box himself. So we needed to find some wood, and we didn't really want to go and just spend big money if we didn't have to. So we decided that we would try and look around. Well, being the go-getter that my buddy is, he made some calls after looking around online for some shops nearby, and he was just asking if they had any cutoffs, small little pieces that he could either buy or pick through. And so he ended up saying, hey, I talked to the guy over at this shop, you want to come with me? And so I said, yeah. And we show up, and this guy who works there it's a local shop, you know, it doesn't even have hardwood or wood in the name of the company. So it's not like an obvious place to go. We just walk in, and he says, hey, nice to meet you guys. Do you want a tour? And we said, sure. So he walks us through the main office area and then into where they make all the wood stuff. And it was this massive warehouse, just full to the brim with stickered hardwood of all kinds, including teak, which I had never even seen before. And then he proceeds to give us an hour-long tour of the whole place. Like, he was just so happy that we were interested and wanted to show us around. And then at the end of it all, even better than saying, yeah, we have some cutoffs and scraps that we'd be willing to sell you, he says, we have these 3 by 3 foot by 3 foot bins that they just throw all their scraps in. Around the entire shop, there were probably almost 2 dozen. And he just said, yeah, anytime during business hours, now that I know you, come on in, we can hook you up, and you can just pick through the scrap bins and take whatever you want. So we felt like we hit the jackpot. Like, we walked in not expecting that, and then walked away with a huge gift and a great connection. I still go back to that shop to this day, and I've amassed, you know, not a huge collection. I used to have some more wood at my last house, but enough that if I have an idea, I can grab a piece off the shelf and start cutting, just, you know, so I don't have to wait and plan everything perfectly before I order lumber. It's just nice to have a stash, and then if I do have a nicer project, I can go pick through scraps with more of an intention and be looking for specific types of wood and pieces of wood. And yeah, you're at the mercy of what they were making and what kind of cutoffs they have, but talk about a huge win. So I just wanted to share that with you, and then just tell you a little bit about what I look for, because I've found other shops in the area. So how do I find these places, you might wonder? Well, you're in luck. So what I like to do is I will just go on Google Maps and I will type in different types of shops that I happen to know are milling a lot of lumber, likely hardwoods, and are kiln dried. So I'm talking places like cabinet shops, any custom woodworking place. Yeah, you can start by just looking up woodworking or hardwoods near me. And if that doesn't pull anything up, then you can start, just look around for, what kind of shops are using wood. Because any place that is going to be milling and processing lumber to make, furniture, that's a good one too. If you can find a shop near you that's doing something like that, well, chances are they're going to have cutoffs and scraps. And if you can develop a relationship with either the owner or an employee there, someone who has access and the ability to say, sure, come pick through our scraps, or yeah, we'll sell you cutoffs for $1 or $2 a piece. That's going to be a huge money saver for you. You're going to build a relationship with somebody, and it's just, you have so much more access to that, because even on the websites that have better prices than some of the shops, you're still paying several dollars a board foot, if not more, depending on what kind of wood you're looking for. And if you're a hobby woodworker, you likely don't need like top end. You just want something that is better than common board pine from Home Depot, right? At least that's where I'm at. So that's how I would go about it. Just don't be afraid to reach out and make contact with some people. Get a little scrappy. That's kind of what you have to do if you want to save $1, but you still want to try things out. But I hope that you can get a little stash of wood and feel like you don't have to pinch pennies to make something. Because if you don't have material, it's going to be hard to even try out any ideas you have. But if you have a little stash, then that opens up your creativity and you can really strike when inspiration hits. I mean, even this mallet came from some white oak cutoffs. I mean, you don't need a bunch, very big pieces, but I took three layers and I glued them all together, and then you suddenly have a bigger chunk and you can make stuff pretty easily. It's going to be harder to get cutoffs for free that are big enough to make large furniture, or even like a side table. Probably gonna have to buy some of the wood for that, but even just for practicing joinery, making little boxes, practicing with a hand plane if you're doing hand tools, or making little jigs, that kind of stuff, you can have a lot of fun with that, and you can keep it pretty cheap if you don't have to buy all the wood full price. So I hope this video surprised you a little bit. I certainly have seen a lot of firewood woodworking videos, and they're cool, but firewood's just not kiln dried. It's not going to be the same level of quality. So if you are looking for wood that is ready to go, this might be the way that you can find it. With that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.